How hard was it to plan on your own to travel solo across Spain in your Camino Frances? How come you didn't consider Le Puy as your next pilgrimage? What shoes will you be bringing on your next Camino? What is in your pack list that's going to be different from the Camino Frances to your upcoming Camino Portuguese? What are a couple of things that you are really looking forward to in the upcoming Camino? And one mother of a question, did you book your accommodation on the Camino Frances? And if you did, would you recommend booking again on your Camino Portuguese that's coming up? Hi everybody, my name is Em and this is Walk with Em, a channel for those who are interested in finding out a little bit more about what it's like to have walked the Camino Frances and what's like to be trying to stay active, be outdoors and live your best life as you hit that lovely stage called midlife. My name is Em. If you're new here, I hope that you enjoy what I have to provide. Please press subscribe. Just putting on my sunglasses here, one of my hundreds of sunglasses because I like them because it's getting a little bit sunny. All right, the first question is, how hard was it to plan a solo journey across Spain? Was it hard? Yes, it was hard because there was a lot of fear involved. But you know, I think I needed to do it, and I've been thinking about it for like a couple of years, ever since I saw the film The Way, ever since I realized that my parents are starting to age, ever since I realized that my kids are reaching adulthood, and ever since I realized that my current job doesn't really give me the old buzz anymore. I've had a couple of transitions in terms of, I've moved country to come back home to Australia. I've had a divorce, and my job was not where I want it to be. So all those factors kind of bolstered me, I think, in making a decision that I thought would help me to reset everything. Now that's a big ask. So when you ask if it's hard to plan, to travel on my own, it was only difficult before I landed on the fact that I've got nothing to lose, in the sense that, if I were to remain where I am and not be bothered to break out of my current situation and just live a very routine life of work, home, go out maybe a couple of times, sleep, work, home, and all that kind of stuff. Aside from wishing myself out of a routine to reset, and I knew that a long walk like the Camino could be the ticket, I also knew that I wouldn't be completely alone, and that's the thing that I really want to impress upon many would-be, will-be pilgrims thinking about setting off solo. Hand on heart, I really believe that the Camino, your very first one, should be a solo journey. And if you could, do the Camino Frances, because it's a beautiful route. It's one of the most traditional routes. I think the Primitivo is the most traditional, but the Camino Frances is dotted with history, punctuated by the most beautiful landscapes. If you saw my 41 videos of the Camino Frances, I just go gaga over every single stone and moss and, elegant tree and chestnuts. The landscape is wide and it's varied. So you could be walking in rain, in sun, in wind, but then you also have beautiful, fairy tale, Lord of the Rings kind of country. You could have castles, you could have hamlets, you could have running brooks, you could have beautiful animals, you could witness some amazing sunsets, and if you're lucky, a sunrise. And then, if you are truly adventurous, you might walk even beyond Santiago. Santiago is absolutely the end game, but then some people also walk beyond that to Finisterre as well, and that's very special. But I digress. I think, yes, there is fear, and I think that I have to be very truthful about that. But I realize that if I don't challenge myself to do something different, then I'm just going to be in this same old cycle. And if you think about it, we really only have 80 summers in a lifetime. That's not a lot, is it? 80 summers. So why not have one of those summers be walking across Spain, starting off solo? But the fact of the matter is that it's such a popular route, the Camino Frances, that you may start off on your own, but in time you will be meeting people that are landing in the same stages or the same town as you, and before you know it, you will have some people that you will see again and again, and if the chemistry is right, you may end up walking with them, as I did with Margaret. If the chemistry is not right, there are many ways that you can shake them off if you really want to continue a solo journey. And you can, even if you meet somebody that you're walking with and landing in the same town with, you can still have a solo journey. You could start off in the morning, and then you could, they could be ahead of you because they're probably faster, and you could hang back and still walk solo. And and people don't really care if you say to them, if you meet someone that you don't really particularly want to continue a conversation with after like 5 minutes, you can just say, oh, I'm just going to hang back a little bit, or I'm going to make a phone call, and you stop and they walk on. And that's, that nobody gets offended by that. It's just an unbroken rule. So if the fear is that you won't have company, don't worry, because there will be more company than you probably want to sort of acknowledge. The other thing too is that it's quite safe, because the stages are marked, and if you share your itinerary with your family at home, if every day before you go to bed you just shoot them a little WhatsApp message saying, I'm going from this town to this town, you'll be fine. Stay on marked tracks, keep your wits about you. There's so many pilgrims on the trail that you can just follow them, and then before you know it, you've landed at the town and having your next vermouth. Don't be afraid. For me, as soon as I hit that booking button that bought my air ticket, I was like, wow. I mean, I'm doing this. I'm doing this walk on my own. I'm not as fit as I think I am, but as soon as I hit that purchase button and got my ticket, I knew then that I am committed. And so I sprung into action, and so for the next 3 months, I started planning my pack. I started going on walks. I, read and follow YouTubers and I just got on with it, and it gives you such a burst of life to work towards a goal. So I wouldn't worry about going solo. So yeah, I hope that you can dig deep, and nobody can do it except for you, to make that commitment. But what I would ask you to do is a piece of advice, is because the first 5 days of the Camino Frances, it's a bit of a bottleneck, so I would book the first 5 nights. In fact, what I did was, I think airfare is easy enough, but getting a place at, say, Orison or Borda, which is the very first night, after you've left St. Jean Pied de Port, the very first night you want to stay at either Orison or Borda albergue, and so if you can get a spot in one of those places, book your flight. So I booked Borda, because that was what my friend who went ahead of me said that I have to do, and thank God for that, because it was such a lovely albergue. I booked Border, and then I booked my flight, and I knew that I could walk about 20 k's a day, and I wanted a couple of rest days, and that's how I booked my flight home. So I just worked backwards. There's about 30 sections, I think. Anyways, you may follow my stages if you like on my 41 videos here on this channel, on the Camino Frances, but book your accommodation, then book your flight, and the rest will follow, and it's going to be amazing. So don't be afraid. In fact, if there's anything at all, just do something that you're a little bit scared of, because it will lead to some real growth. Okay, so please consider that. It's risky, but it's not that risky. All right. In terms of the second part of that question, how did I prepare for a solo journey? Well, the answer is in the question, right? Preparation. So I booked the first 5 days because I wanted to have that spirit of adventure. But what I realized is, and it happened pretty soon after Logroño, when I met Margaret, and she's booked everything even before she left, and that's just her process. It helped me with less anxiety as I started to book pretty much every night until the end of the trip. So I had a couple of days when I was bed racing, and that was a little bit anxiety inducing. I think if it wasn't like a popular season like September and May, then you probably will get a spot even if you don't book, but that's totally up to you, I think. So I prepared by being extremely organized. I tweaked my backpack like 100 times. I went on several walks because I really wanted to test out my endurance. And once I could walk 15 kilometers with my backpack fully loaded, I knew I could do it. You know what I'm saying? I guess the trick is being able to do it day after day after day for like 30 or 40 days. But you build up fitness. The other thing too is that I was very, very conscious of providing my family with my sort of whereabouts, and so safety is a concern, right? So I bought an Apple tag, and so my family could track my distance, and they had a copy of my itinerary. As well as that, every day I would send them a message telling them I'm leaving from town A and will be landing in town B. And I also post photos on social media as well. And as you know, I did video vlogs every day. And if you don't do vlogs, then you might have Facebook or Instagram, so that people know where you are every day of your trip. And that's the best thing you could do while still maintaining a bit of distance, so that you can really absorb the benefits of a solo long walk journey. So that's how I prepared. I knew what my water intake would be. I had the best equipment that I could afford, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And just go with a sense of adventure and knowing that you're going to be safe if you just make sure that you potentially don't leave in the dark, or if you do, make sure that you leave with a trusted pilgrim. And yeah, just basically just common sense. So the next question is, what about the Le Puy route? I love the sound of this route. I actually Googled it, and I realized that it starts in France. And it's the walk that starts in France and goes down and meet the trail at Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, which then you can carry on to do the Camino Frances. And if I were to do the Camino Frances again, which is likely in my lifetime, I really love that route, I will start in Le Puy because I hear it's really beautiful. So thanks for that. It's a good idea. It would be lovely to walk through the beautiful route that starts in Le Puy, and I look forward to putting that on my list. How many days will it take for you to walk the Camino Portuguese? Well, I'm going to start in Porto and I will then end in Santiago. That's the Camino Portuguese, and I think it takes about 11 to 12 days. So about roughly like 25 kilometers a day. And then I will do 4 or 5 days walking from Santiago to Finisterre, because when I was doing the Camino Frances, I ran out of time. I had to get home, so I wanted to do the Finisterre walk this time. So yeah, that's it. So it's going to be roughly about 3 or 4 weeks away for me. Are you going to pre-book accommodation on your upcoming Camino Portuguese? And did you book your 2024 Camino Frances accommodation? Okay, the answer to that is yes, I did pre-book 5 nights up to Pamplona. Is that 5? 4 or 5 nights. So I knew that after Pamplona on the Camino Frances, which is the one that I did last year in September, that the Camino Frances is really busy, and so I booked the first 4 nights on that route. And I'm so glad I did, because there were people that were like a bit anxious and or you know, were sort of bed racing or couldn't get the accommodation they wanted. Once I landed in Pamplona, I then booked the next 2 nights, and I was doing that until there was a couple of towns where you just simply cannot book, because it's a donativo or it's an albergue that's a municipal, which means that it's you can't book those. It's not a private albergue, and that's when, you know, there's a certain number of beds, and you have to make sure that you walk fast enough or land or be one of the first 100, for example, to get a bed at a place that provides 100 beds. So after that, a couple of times I was like, oh, that's not so fun. That meant I had to leave so early and I just couldn't sleep the night before. So when I met Margaret and I saw that she's planned everything until the very end, I thought, right, I'm going to book as many albergues as I can. I knew that I liked her well enough to walk with her if she wanted me to, and even if you didn't like each other after a while, you can still stay in the same town but not meet for dinner or not meet for drinks or do something else, or you can just stay at a different albergue. So, you know, it's actually easy to say bye-bye to people if you wanted to, because yeah, so book everything. The only thing to consider when you are booking all your accommodation is that, one, it does take out a bit of that, you know, fun and spontaneity if that's what you wanted. But 2, you know, you better not get injured, right? Because, or if you do, you can always cancel, but then there will be a cost to you, I'm sure, at some of those places. But yeah, if you book too much in advance, and you don't have that kind of flexibility to change. But what I would do is I would book the first 5 nights on the Camino Frances, and then a couple of nights as I go along. And then, yeah, if I feel like there's not that many people on the track, then I might chance it. So yes, that's hopefully I answered that. But to answer your question, I booked the first 5 nights, then I booked a couple of nights, and then I booked the rest of them once I realised that I'm going to be landing at the same time as Margaret anyway. As for the Camino Portuguese, yes, I've booked everything. That's because I'm traveling with a few people, and you know, I feel like I have nothing to sort of to prove, because I've done the Camino Frances on my own pretty much, and you know, this Camino Portuguese is more of a it's not such a strenuous walk, and it's more of a holiday rather than a pilgrimage, if that makes sense. I've booked everything. Okay, a couple more questions. Who am I going with on this upcoming Camino Portuguese? I am going with someone. I'm also going to meet up with a couple of others too, but who it is going to remain a surprise. So if you are going to have to follow me on my vlogs, and you might be really happy to see who I'm meeting up with on the Camino Portuguese, but I can't tell you basically right now. It's a surprise. Next question. What was my favorite meal on the Camino Frances? Oh wow, this one's really hard, because can you ask me about my favorite drinks instead? Because I can tell you that it wasn't coffee, sorry. Coffee is not a strong suit on the Camino Frances, but I think it's improving as there were some towns like Leon, there was an amazing coffee shop, but I am a very critical coffee drinker because I'm from Melbourne. But aside from that, I love drinking vermouth. I now have vermouth in my fridge, I think until perpetuity, and I love the drink Tinto di Veranas. It's so refreshing, and I also love your Aquarius as well. So those are my favorite 3 drinks. Okay, sorry, the question is, what was your favorite food? You know, there were so many. Look at this. It's not a complaint, and there were some lovely, you know, dishes. But I actually love the salads. I'd never met a salad I didn't like on the Camino Frances. So I think that would have to be my favorite food. You know, but you know, you got your your various, you know, pork dishes, salads. And my favorite breakfast go-to was the tomato and artisanal bread. That is my favorite breakfast. Yum, yum, yum. I could eat that all day. Yep, that with a cup of coffee. I love eating olives with, you know, a drink in hand. There was French fries for every meal. There was steak. There was fried pork. There were some chicken. What else was there? There was some really lovely soup. Oh yes, I remember now. I think it was veal. This beautiful dish in Rabanao. I have to link the video of that wonderful meal that I had with Margaret in this little town, Rabanao, really cute town. And it was just me and her. We walked into this restaurant that was just serviced by one woman, and she made us the most beautiful pork cutlets, as well as these lovely potatoes and this soup. And I think that was my best meal. It was in Rabanao. There you go. Finally knotted it out. Thanks for the question. Next question. What is on your pack list this time as you prepare for your Camino Portuguese that is different to your Camino Francis? The answer is nothing. Nothing, except what I'm going to do is I'm going to try when I get to Portugal to buy more knock cream than ever. NOK. It's the anti-blister lotion that I rub on my feet, and this time I won't have it because I'm not going to Paris. And I thought that you can only get this cream in Paris, and that was an absolute godsend. It was a recommendation by a friend of mine who did the Camino before me. So NOK is the cream. If you're in Europe, go look for that. It's in the chemist. It's in a colourful tub. I'll put an image of it here. But yeah, knock cream is something that I will not have in my pack. But other than that, I think everything is going to be the same. Except I am thinking I might change out my Nike running pants, they're soft kind of pants, into something a bit more waterproof. But I don't know whether I will, because, you know, the Camino Portuguese is substantially shorter than the Camino Francis, and I don't mind getting wet. And as you know, I actually walk in shorts anyways if it's raining. So yeah, probably nothing, but yes, knock cream. I'm going to be bringing Vaseline, a small tub of it, in case I can't find knock. But I heard that it's available in Portugal, so I'm going to look at it in Porto. Okay, a couple more questions and then I'll call it a day for this session. What am I looking forward to in this trip coming up to do the Camino Portuguese? Well, I am actually looking forward to eating really good food, and this time it's going to be a majority being seafood. Yes, seafood is what I'm going to be looking forward to eating, and that's something that's a little bit different from last time. And also just, you know, meeting some really lovely people again and seeing some new sights. And I actually really like Portugal, so I'm looking forward to, you know, spending a few more days in Portugal than I would have otherwise. But heading into Santiago again is something that I'm very joyful. And of course, walking to Finisterre. Oh my God, there's so many things I'm looking forward to in this trip. So walking to Finisterre, seeing some old faces, familiar faces, and going into Santiago again, that's going to be amazing. And just eating seafood. And of course, vermouth and Tinto de Varanus. What shoes am I going to be bringing on the Camino Portuguese? Ooh, I think I do have a special episode for that, but it's going to be an ultra. The reason being is I don't have a Topo store in Melbourne, and I went and looked at this sort of outdoor camping store that lists Topo, and the variety wasn't many, maybe a couple of models. So unfortunately we don't have Topo here, otherwise I would try it. There was a suggestion from a former pilgrim that said that Cloud9 makes really good shoes. So again, I don't think there is an outlet here, but I'll have another look. I don't know, I guess with the Camino coming up and me being so used to wearing ultras, I think I'm going to stay with ultra, but I might this time use the Lone Peak model versus the Olympus 5, which wasn't very helpful towards the end of my Camino. If you follow me on the Camino Francis, there's 41 videos about that on this channel, so there's a playlist, so you'll find out what's happened to it. That said, I think yeah, the ultra because of the foam, but the Lone Peak because of its lightness. So yeah, it's going to be the Lone Peak, I think. And one final question is, how important is it to stretch before you go on the walk? It's actually really, really important. I mean, just stretch, and I might do another video on the kind of exercise that I do beforehand. Mind you, when it's so dark at night time, or sorry, when it's so dark in the morning, you just don't have time to do anything but just to, you know, hoist up your backpack and go. Well, that's it, guys. That's all the questions I've got for you today and the responses that I have provided. I hope they are of some help. If you would like me to host another kind of Q&A like this, please pop down your questions and I'll collect them. And once I have enough, I'll do another one of these videos. But yes, it's lived experience, so hopefully they will be of benefit to you. And if you find that this one is quite helpful, then please like, share, comment. And if you could do me a huge favor by pressing subscribe, it won't cost you anything. That would really help my channel grow. Other than that, I hope you have a really good day. I'm heading back for my coffee. It's not that early in the morning, but I think I'm so happy to have done this walk, and I'm glad to have done this walk with you guys and to answer some of the questions. I'm yammering on at the moment, but I'm not very good. I'm not a natural YouTuber, but I'm hoping that this will provide some insights. But happy to elaborate any more questions. Please put them down below and I'll come back to you. All right, this is Em signing off from Walk with Em. Thanks for being with me today, and I will see you in the next channel. See you later.